Hello, race fans. Welcome to another episode of Short Track Guys Podcast, brought to you by ShortTrackExclusives.com. I'm your host, Thomas Faddis, alongside two other short track guys in the studio, Jim Pokrant, driver of the 07 Can'tQuitFishing.com sportsman and 2021 sportsman champion here locally at Five Flag Speedway, and Ted Baber Video Productions, also locally here at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. What's up, guys?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Oh, we're doing good, and I'm telling you, I'm really excited about this show. We've got a brief discussion about some things that are going on coming up this weekend with the Alabama 200. We've got the Carolina Pro Late Model season opener, and we're going to touch briefly on the Winter Nationals out here at Southern and Milton. And we've got a special guest that's on with us tonight. We're going to get to her just as soon as we can, because I really want our listeners to hear what's going on over there in Mobile, in conjunction with Houston Motorsports Park. But first of all, we're going to talk to Jim a little bit about the season opener coming up on the 18th with the Sportsman Series. And I hear he's got some news coming up here, maybe in the middle of the season. What's going on in that stable, Jim?
Well, we got the motor in the car finally. I got to make some fenders so the Sportsman will be ready. But I can't talk about my partner, but we went Saturday and looked at 3 late models that we're purchasing. One of them is going to be an Outlaw. One of them is going to be a Wheelman Series car. We got 2 engines. I mean, we got a heck of a deal. We bought out an entire race team, including the trailer.
Yes.
So we're going Saturday or Friday after work and pick all that stuff up and bring it over. We got one car that needs a clip. That's going to be our Outlaw. The Wheelman car is a Port City. Both the fast cars are Port Cities. We're going to sell one car in the trailer because we don't need it. And we're going to try Outlaw and Sportsman race. Wheelman Series racing. So I'm really excited. I've never got to drive a late model before, and basically that's what I'm going to get to do. And I'm tickled to death with it. And I got to thank, I can't say his name, but thank you, dude, for helping me out with this. And he's excited as I am. And next year he's going to drive my Sportsman. I'm going to drive the Outlaw. And we're going to do some Wheelman racing next year.
Yes.
And then the following year, he's going to get into the Wheelman car. I'm going to run the Outlaw, and then we'll probably put our buddy Will in the Sportsman. So we got some plans down the road. Even though next year I'm going to semi-retire, I'm not running full-time for anything. I want to travel a little bit. I want to race Mobile. I want to race Montgomery. I want to go to Opp. So we're going to travel a little bit, maybe go to South Florida and race. Heck, being a single guy, 51 years old, getting in a race car is awesome.
Maybe you can go down to 417 and meet Jennifer Brinson and go out there and take one of those checker flags.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah. We plan on traveling. I mean, this deal we got so many parts, it's not even funny. Springs and quick change gears and fuel cells and body parts. And
radios.
5 brand new radios with headsets go with the deal. I mean, it's awesome. It's an awesome deal, and I'm tickled to death with my buddy that's helping me with it, and I'm looking forward to getting that done. And I mean, I'm just going to be neck deep in race cars for a while, which is like my happy place.
Interested sponsors need to apply quickly.
Yeah. Well, how is that going to interfere the Outlaw situation? How is that going to kind of play a part in defending your championship here locally?
Well, Five Flags only running us 8 races. I can do that and run the Outlaw probably won't be ready till later in the year, like July or August, and the Wheelman car the same way. Because like I said, the Outlaw car's got to go get clipped. We're sending it to Mike Garvey. Mike Garvey's going to clip it, and Donnie Brusso's going to hang us a new body. And then with the Wheelman car, it's going to be the same thing. We got to put it together, take it to Donnie Brusso, have him put a body on it, and we'll go from there. So we've already got a plan to recoup some of our money, so that's going to work out good. And my sponsors are all excited and ready to jump on board with that deal too. So, and the cool thing is, except for in Mobile, they run the American Racer. We run the Hoosier F70, which I'm going to be on this year at Five Flags. And I'll learn those tires. So when I get in the Outlaw car, I already know what the tires are going to do. So it's going to help me a lot. And like I said, I promised to go to Mobile some this next year. I love racing over there. It's so hard on a budget, man. And especially having to build a new car after the Derby has really put the hurt on my fundage. But we're going to be there. So
we're gonna find out about a little bit of your schedule in Mobile here just in a little bit, because we're gonna we're going to get with our special guest. She's hanging on in the studio with us. She's on the phone. She's listening to us, and she's ready to go, and we're ready to go.
Yep.
So we'll know a little bit more about what your schedule might be over there in Mobile. So let's talk about Alabama 200 up in Montgomery Motor Speedway coming up this weekend. The laundry list of like talented drivers that are going to be there. It's kind of like I'm sad that I'm going to be working because that would be one of those races that I want to be at. It's the Hunt the Bear thing.
Hunt for the Bear, yeah. Well, and the thing about it is, I'm the same way. That was kind of my game plan. If I hadn't wrecked the car at the Derby, was to spend some time traveling. I'd love to go to the Rattler this year, but it's kind of looking like I'm not going to get to because I've got to get my car finished. So I got that looking for. But Stan Harrison does a great job up in Montgomery, and there's a lot of big names that come into that race. It's going to be a heck of a show.
Yeah, Spencer Bragg, Jackson Bishop, John Bolin, John DeAngelis, one of our
favorites.
One of our favorites that we talked about. We've mentioned him quite a bit since we got started with this podcast. He's from Wisconsin. He comes down with the Prunties and all that. And Caden Honeycutt, JoJo Wilkinson from Hueytown, Alabama, Justin Bonnet, also from that area, Christopher Tullis, Chris Davison, Hunter Robbins, Jake Garcia, Grant Thompson. The list goes on, and I think there's about 35 of them that are listed to run this Saturday night.
It's going to be an amazing show.
That's a lot of pro late models.
Oh, yes.
That's going to be pretty good. And Augie Grill might pop his head up. He sometimes runs that race. You never know when Augie might pop in. He's pretty tough. Jake Garcia.
Augie Grill is dangerous in Montgomery.
Oh, he's dangerous anywhere he goes. Man, you put him in a fast car, son, he's going to be right there. I watched him and Bubba battle, and I'm an Augie Grill fan. I'll admit that.
Somebody to watch, and he does. He's not a slouch in the modifieds either.
Oh no, he always runs in the top 2 or 3 in a modified. But the thing about it is, when he shows up at this race with one of his own Grand American race cars, he's liable to win it. You better watch out for him.
Yeah, I think Augie's probably taking more seriousness to his modified stable than the late model side of it.
Yeah, but I don't think he builds those modifieds or their BMF chassis.
Yep.
I don't think that's him. I think he's driving for somebody. He might help him with setups and stuff. But you're talking about Augie Grill, man. Him and his dad and Neil Bonnet were 3 of the best car builders in the business. I mean, back in the day before it was Grand American, it was Neil Bonnet race cars.
Right. Well, we're going to move just a little bit northeast of that into the Carolinas, and we haven't talked a lot about the Carolina Pro Late Model Series, but there is just a gaggle of talented drivers in that series that open up this weekend at Southern National Motorsports Park in North Carolina. It's a 4/10 high banked bull ring that we like I guess, you would call South Alabama Speedway. And, we've been talking about Carson Kvapil, won the inaugural championship 2 years ago. And Nick Loden actually won last year. So we got Caleb Johnson and David Thomas and Amber Lynn, Kyle Campbell, Ryan Matthews, and Caden Kvapil, which is Carson's brother, is going to vie for that championship. And their season openers in that 4/10 high bank intensified race this weekend. And
it's a fine facility.
Yeah, and we've gone over episode after episode, and it's just the short track racing just never stops. I mean, there's no break. We got 2 or 3 weeks, and that's it, and you got to get right back at it. So we're really getting into the beginning of a lot of exciting.
You take Christmas and New Year's off, and then you're right back into it. So.
That's why I said if I ever won the lottery, I would never touch a NASCAR track. I would take a late model and a stacker, and we would travel in a motorhome just to go and have some fun. It's that to me. To me, short track racing is more exciting. NASCAR's gotten boring. It's a big money sport. It's not fun.
Cookie cutter cars, with just money ruining everything, unfortunately.
Idiot drivers, but we'll get off of that subject. I just love short track. That's where we need to be.
Well, we went from a bucket list to a dumpster list to a semi-trailer list. Where else can you go from that? I mean, with all these races and all these openers that we're going to eventually get to, possibly. But we're going to get right to it, and I've been waiting for this. Our guest, Gina Schild Knowles, she is the promoter of Houston Motorsports Park and Mobile International Speedway, and has been for a couple of years now. And we're glad to have her and have her spend the time with us to share with our race fans and our listeners as to what's going on in Mobile. Gina, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so what exactly, we can back up just a long ways, I guess. What is it about racing that got you interested and how you got to where you are now with the promotion things?
Well, I've grown up kind of born into it, both from grandpa to, dad, uncles, brothers. I mean, I think every male in my family is a racer. I didn't get to, but, I was always around it. Just always being a part of it in Houston, growing up around it. And the racing in Texas kind of, started fading away in recent years. And I was helping a promoter at Houston Motorsports Park, and he got sick and stepped down, and it was about to close. And I really didn't want it to close. And we jumped in the saddle. Since I had been working with Advanced Auto Parts and him, we just kind of stepped right into it and went with it. It becomes about the racers and everyone that you grew up with, and these third generation, fourth generation racers not having a track, in Texas. And it, we just jumped in and went with it from there.
Well, that's cool. I know being a promoter is not an easy job whatsoever, because it's tedious. You have to put up with us racers. You got to put up with the fans. You got to listen to all the complaining. But that's awesome that you took over that track to keep it open, because there's so many speedways closing. And it, as a race fan since I was 9 years old, it's heartbreaking to see a racetrack close.
It is. There's so many dynamics that influence that and make that happen. But Houston is a hard cookie. It's a hard track to keep rolling. It's super expensive. But, again, I was fortunate enough. I needed a partner track for Houston. That's what I kind of wanted to do when I happened upon Mobile. And I wanted to grow more of a program. And so we brought some of the guys from Houston to Mobile, some of the classes. We have some new classes. So it's just been a positive thing. And luckily with Advanced Auto Parts, they kind of helped us do that.
Well, that's great. I think you getting Mobile is awesome, because we were scared that place was going to close. Ted used to do videos over there. I used to love to go watch. I raced over there quite a bit. It's just hard on a low buck racer like myself to run two racetracks. But I want to come over there and race. I do, and we're going to. And by the way, I wanted to tell you I love what you're doing with 3 and 4. And I've said that over the years. If somebody would make that smooth and dirt where cars would slow down, because you do not want to hit one of those Jersey barriers. I watched Donnie Russo go into one night, and I thought he was dead. That's how hard they hit, and scared me half to death. But I mean, anything to make the track safer, I'm 100%, and we're behind you. And I want you to know that us guys at Five Flags are behind you also. It's just, like I said, for me, it's just a money thing. But I promise you, we get that outlaw stock done, we're definitely going to come over there and race.
Well, good. I hope to you do that. I'm anxious to see. I mean, I thought maybe I was going to have to maybe put up some kind of challenge to get you guys to come over here.
Well, we love to race over there. I've had some success over there. I've only won a heat race. I've never won a feature, but I've come close. And I like that place.
I enjoyed the very first year I went over there to do some videotape work. The sportsman class was the most fun to watch, because there'd be 20 cars out on the track, and they would race side by side, nose to tail, for 10 to 15 laps until the tires started getting greasy and things would get broken up a little bit. And man, that was so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I haven't, we don't have them in Texas. And the first race here, I was the same way. I mean, they're quickly became my favorite to watch, and just I know my jaw was dropped the whole time I was watching them, because I was blown away at how fun they were to watch. Yeah, that's for sure.
It's great.
Yeah, it's a great club. But I mean, all the other classes over there, I mean, I remember watching late models door to door like that. I mean, great battles between guys like Scott Carlson and Gerald Wilkerson and guys like that, Bobby Garrison and all them back in the day. But I'm so glad to see that place opening. I'm really happy with what you're doing to the place. I really believe in it, and I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. I've seen super.
She has a good soul, is what I like to say about this track.
Absolutely.
It's been around a long time.
Is there any vision of putting a wall around there? You can keep it open like that? Because I noticed when I was over there listening and watching, the sound is different from Five Flags to Mobile, and I think it there's a difference between the track, and I think that's a little characteristic of the of the two.
Yes, I it's I've had many people say, oh, NASCAR's going to make you put up a wall if you ever do anything. And there's so many different things. But I had one dad come to me. It was a Texas racer that came over here that said that was his favorite thing about the track was that there was no wall. Right. And I think that it has grown on me. And I was so worried about it in the beginning. We've had a couple of Texas racers go over 3 and 4. I think one broke his back. Mm. And so that was always something that we were planning on doing. And I'd like to kind of do the same thing. We have some things that we're wanting to do and we're thinking about doing to make it safer, but I kind of like the no walls. I really do. I love the backstretch. That's my favorite thing. Yeah,
I think it puts continues a little bit of an old school feel to it and a sound that I've experienced when I was over there watching all the classes. I mean, it's just different, and it was attractive.
Yeah, my favorite thing about that is that toting the mail down the back straightaway and that drop off into turn 3. It's like being on a roller coaster. You feel your stomach go up and then down, and then you turn into turn 3 and hammer it through the center and drive it off of 4, but. It's a fun racetrack, and like I said, you said your brothers and uncles raced. What kind of cars did they run?
Track, they ran everything, honestly, from Broncos, which would be probably the same as our Sportsmen now, back in the day. My dad, they ran sprint cars on dirt. They ran, everything, super modified. My dad ran super modifieds with some of the guys over here, Niedecken and Yep, and then Leroy, was it Hafen? Them. I mean, it was he ran everything. I think, and they ran, of course, back in the day. I don't know what it was called, but I always want to call it the Bush. They ran at Daytona, ran at Talladega.
Wow.
As my dad and my uncle.
I think it's a Grand National Series, I think.
Yes.
Bush Grand National.
Grand National back in those days, yeah.
That was
definitely.
Cool.
So, I've just been around it, my whole life, really. H.B. Bailey was a local guy that my stepdad helped. My stepdad raced. Greg Davison.
Yep.
Chris Davison. Yep, they come. I grew up around them all.
Casey Smith.
Yep, Casey Smith. Oh, I love those guys. Great guys. Great family.
H.B. Bailey, when I was like 13 years old, my dad took me to Darlington, and he crashed right in front of where we were sitting. I have pictures of him sitting there in that number 36 with the nose tore off of it, and him crawling out the passenger side of his Grand National or Cup car back then. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, he was a character. Let me tell you, he was fun growing up around him and hearing the stories and seeing them.
Yeah, all those guys were back then. They loved to cut up.
Drivers.
Yeah. That's for sure. Well,
that's an understatement.
That's true. That's true. Well, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to adding to Mobile? And I know the grandstands need some work and a couple things, but what are you planning on doing? I mean, I noticed you added some Wheelman Series races, and I think that's really cool because I really like that series and I hope it grows. But I mean, what are some of the things you're planning on?
I'm kind of last year it was more about, in Texas, we run 8 classes, and it's crazy to run that. But when you can't get a lot of races and you've got 8 strong classes of racers that want to race, you got to run them all. Right. And so we just kind of came over here and applied that same philosophy just temporarily because it was about the racing. I wanted to figure out what was our car counts going to look like? We didn't know the timing of racing, of the races. We kind of, as a team, we just applied the same thing we do at Houston, but we just needed to focus on running all these classes and getting our system down. And I guess like a balloon, blow it up and see what the track is going to give us. Where's our weakness? Is the power going to cut off? We lost power one race. We had to push the limits of the facility to see what we needed to do. This year, I'm alternating the classes. I built a schedule to where, it doesn't impede with Five Flags, right. And I literally sat down and made sure that if I'm alternating the classes, a class that's running like at OP, if he's running the mods, if I have to race on the same night, I'm not going to run the mods because I want to, grow it that way. I think that is a big goal of mine is to get all of us working together. And if, we run not less, I know that's scary as a promoter, but we run smarter. And we grow our fields. If we're competing on cars, then I feel like we're presenting a subpar show because we're dividing the racers.
Yes.
I want to be very different about that. That's super, super important because being from Texas, let me tell y'all, in Alabama and over here with Pensacola, you guys are where Texas was 10 years ago. We had good tracks. We had plenty of tracks, but no one worked together. And it's just like the sportsman class, it's called something different, in Montgomery and it's different rules and stuff.
Right.
That's what we did in Texas. And I mean, it really, there's one track left. Yep. And I want to, try to get moving in the right direction. When I was trying to figure out like the sportsman rules and how to learn, I would talk 20 minutes to someone about a sportsman or a super stock, and then you realize you're talking about two totally different cars because what they picture in their head as a super stock or a sportsman or a pure stock is not necessarily the same. And I think that is where that's hurt us. And I think that's where racing is kind of, it's divided. I mean, when I was growing up, my dad, I can remember him saying, man, let's go racing. Where can we go? And you looked and you knew what class it was, glance at the rules. And somewhere it just like everything kind of changed and was called different things. And
yes. I
just kind of need to bring it back together a little bit.
Well, I think some of that, sorry, Ted, I think some of that is the fact that promoters want to keep their cars at their racetrack. And what I would love to see as a racer would be you, Pensacola, Montgomery come up with a street stock series that we could run Mobile two races, Pensacola 2 races, and then one time in the month we go to Montgomery, one time we come to Mobile, one time we go to one time we go to Pensacola, and we do that 2 times a year and declare a champion over all 4 racetracks. I think that would be great, but you, like you said, it's so hard when the money comes in is what ruins it. And somebody comes in and why can't we have this rear end? Why can't we have these shocks? Why can't we have this? Why can't we have that? In the sportsman class, I have to say over the years, I've been racing this class off and on since 97. The rules have been pretty close. Stock location shocks. I mean, a few extras we've been added, racing springs we didn't have before, but the 602 crate motor, I think to massage the bodies is the next thing to do. But I mean, my personal opinion is we need a series where the cars are the same. So if I'm in Pensacola and say, just heaven forbid, I get, a 2-race suspension, I can go race your racetrack with the car and be competitive. I can go to Montgomery and be competitive. I can go to Up and be competitive.
That's right. And I think that promotes healthy racing. I think, if we run, if I work with Tim or John at Op, if we run the classes smart, you do have a full schedule. If I run a class 6 times and Tim runs it 6 times, or the same with John, that's a full schedule essentially. But we're going to that'll promote travel between the two. I think we should do it, and I think we should give racers a drop. So that kind of alleviates some pressure on it. But I am all for that. I'm hoping that's what we can get to. This year we're focusing again on getting our feet underneath us and seeing how the racing shakes out in this crazy year. I'm hoping it won't be as crazy as last year. But I'm excited about this environment. I'm excited about being over here because I want to try to hopefully prevent what happened in Texas and get us on the same page. You want a racer to pull up your track and go, okay, can I go bring my car here and be able to see the class he runs listed as the same thing. I just think that's important. Other people tell me, oh, that's not a big deal, but it is a big deal.
If you want to be able to race, be competitive, and not have to change too much on the car or have to change too much on the car in order to go to different tracks. That's really it's more cost effective that way too.
Yes, definitely.
Well, something that I'd love to hear you say is you're not talking so much about late models as you are about the local cars. Because, see, there's too many promoters that have just gone into we need late model races. We need big late model races. They'll bring the crowd. But if you notice that most of the local classes bring a lot of fans and a lot of drivers and a lot of people in the pits. So if we could get the local cars up, a big late model race every once in a while is not that big of a deal. But if you could get the local cars and get them excited, you'll have more local fans.
Definitely. I agree with that 100%. In Texas, the late models went away 10 years ago, and that's what we ran. I mean, we always ran late models, and it was kind of devastating. But when you don't have it, and we have the trucks and the mods, they just kind of exploded and took off. I'm a big fan of the trucks. Advanced Auto Parts, they love the trucks, so that's kind of what we focused on. We put them on the trucks, but I also think that you have Tim with the supers, and you Stan and the mods. Yep. I think we can keep it healthy if we keep working with each other on that.
Yeah, John Dykes is really heavy on local cars too. I raced,
definitely.
I won the Rattler in '98, my first ever feature win. I raced a full season in Pensacola, and then ended up going up there and winning the Rattler. And he was just always so good to me. Even I would come up there and I broke one night in practice, and his daughter walked by and handed me a $50 bill and said, "Dad told me to give this to you. Thank you for coming up here." And they always let me keep my number, and they always looked out for me. And I think as a promoter that you should be, and I can see that you are more personable to the drivers, the fans, and the people that are your local people, because I'm not going to name names, but there's a certain promoter that's kind of gotten away from us local guys, and it's all about the big guys. It's not about us, and we're there every week. If there's a race at Five Flags, I'm there watching. If I'm not racing, I'm in the grandstands, or I'm in the pits helping somebody, or I'm doing something. That's the kind of encouragement we need as promoters that stand with the little guy.
Definitely. That's super important, and that's giving back to the sport somehow. We all have to do that because it is about the sport. We've got to remember we got to promote the sport and not our tracks. I mean, you do both, don't get me wrong, but it's the sport that we need,
Yeah.
To be healthy.
Yeah. So Gina, when does the season start for Mobile?
Right now, we are starting our first official race is April 9th. Now, we have March 26th that I have as a race, but we've got a lot of concession stand equipment that we ordered that I don't think is going to make it.
So Brandon.
I might have to, I know, broken record. I'm so tired of hearing about things on back order and you don't know a date. So what I'm probably going to do is I had that as a practice, and I went ahead and changed it to a race because they said, yes, you're going to have everything. And now they're like, well, we don't know if we're going to get, so I'm probably going to just automatically change our opening date to April 9th, which is the same weekend as Five Flags is running, but I'm not running his same classes. I'm picking up the ones he ran on Friday. He's got a race, but I didn't have any other dates to start. So that's what we got.
Right. Do you still have drivers and cars in those classes coming from Texas to run in Mobile?
We do. We're looking forward to it. We have quite a few. I'm excited about the Texas boys. Texas, they travel. We've always traveled. So I'm excited to get them moving this way. I've got every class that we have at HMP, we have running now at Mobile. We brought over the Legacies. They're called the Lone Star Legacies, but it's essentially an Allison Legacy. We brought over our Eco Stock guys, which are kind of like the Stingers, but I think they don't tune them. And now the Super Stocks were the ones that I was able to get Ricky and the drivers. Ricky developed a hybrid set of rules so we can get our Super Stocks racing and moving in that direction for 1 year. And then we'll be running full-blown Wheelman Series rules.
Awesome. That's like I said, that's something I'm looking forward to doing. And I know I like that series. I really, really do. I love the fact that the shocks are spec shocks. You can't build them. You can't touch them. And if Ricky feels you're cheating, he comes over, takes that shock off your car. He gives you one out of the box and tells you to go racing. If he finds out this shock's illegal, you're going to get in trouble. And I'm glad that you're doing it with Ricky Brooks because I have a lot of respect for that man.
Well, I called him and told him, I had a super stock guy from Texas call me and he said, Gino, how can we run at Mobile? What can we do? And I said, and no one would do this. I've been on racers. I know rules, but I can't read a set of rules. I just would say, I need to know. I told him, he called me and said, we want to race. I said, then you've got to look up all the tracks around me and find me the class that's closest to your class that you think we can convert to, and call me back. And 2 weeks later, he called me back. He said, I found some, the Wheelman, and the Wheelman Sportsman out of Florida. And I said, okay. So I called Ricky, and I told Ricky, here's what we need to convert to. Here's the Texas Super Stock rules. Tell me. And Ricky, well, we can't do it. I said, come on now. Come on. Let's think out of the box. Let's figure out a way. There's got to be a way. Because every racer told, you can't do that. Oh, no, can't do that. But when you ask them, well, explain why. Well, you just can't. That's what I get. Well, you just can't do it. That's not good enough. So we are able to figure it out, and I am super excited because I'm like you, Jim. That series is just, it's very attractive. You watch their racing. Their times are right, all within each other. That means the rules are right. That means that it's doing what it's supposed to do, especially when you have that many show up to race.
Absolutely. As far as getting updates on the rules and all that, can they go to the website and get updates on that? And
you sure can. They're all up.
I also understand that the quarter mile or the drag strip is being reconstructed. How's that going?
Oh, it's going good. Definitely. It's putting in concrete.
Good launch pads.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Yes. Eddie's been working hard at that all week. We got all these dirt trucks in and out. It's crazy over here right now.
It's a lot of work to get one rebuilt. I know that.
I plan on racing over there some this year. My job used to not allow me because I worked on Sunday, so it was real hard to do anything in Mobile on Saturday night without having to take a day off. But now we're back to working 5 days a week, so it works out for Friday night, works out for Saturday night. And this partner of mine that's putting together the Outlaw stock and the Wheelman car, we're going to have a lot of fun with that. I've never driven anything faster than 20 seconds. I can't wait to get something that runs 18s. I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited too. I tell you, I think I'm going to put do a race to where we can get in the sportsman class, get a Pensacola racer over here that can beat a Mobile racer. I'll refund his tires. Maybe that'll get y'all come on over here.
I can do that. I've beat some of those guys. Well, we won the championship this year, and we battled the Langhams the majority of the season. So, Maddox and Jonathan, and we've had some confrontations, but we've worked it out. We're racers. We get mad at one another, and then a few weeks later we're laughing about it.
Yes.
You yelled at me, yeah. But there used to be a class in Mobile. They called it Pure Stock. They were basically what we are now as far as sportsmen is concerned. And they would bring 40 to 50 cars a night. I remember going over there. I won the Rattler and Op, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go to Mobile. And, man, them boys had some motor because there was no way I was taking my car over there because some nights they had to run a B, and a C main just to get people into the feature. So,
wow.
but it's, I would love to see that come back because you had guys bringing dirt cars and racing. So maybe we can figure something like that out. And if you ever need anything like that, you'll hear my email address. Please ask me because I'm a low buck racer. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have time for BS. What I have to do to race is what I will do to race. And if you need me for anything, I'm available. I will gladly talk to you about anything because I love to help the local guys. I really love to see guys like Jonathan and Howard and all them race and be able to afford to go race.
Definitely. Yeah. That's what I think that's racing, and that's what's important. I think that's because with my background and always being at the racetrack or just growing up around it, that's what's important. I try to remember how hard it is to get to the track as a racer. How challenging it is. Most racers, work full-time job and have families to take care of and family events to do. You didn't plan a wedding on a race weekend. You definitely tried not to go into labor on a race weekend. Didn't go to prom. You didn't go to, if it fell on a race weekend, you just knew, oh, no, can't do it. But I try to remember because it's hard to race every weekend. It kicks your butt. You have great days and you have bad days. So I try to, remember that. And when I'm planning things and when I see the racers, because I do genuinely appreciate them when they get to the track because it's a lot. I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've had success so far in your transition to Mobile. Is there anybody in your stable in there you just kind of like to mention out that helped you along the way that has put you into this point?
Well, Advanced Auto Parts, of course, they've been our backer for a very long time in Houston. Whenever I told them what I wanted to do, going into Mobile, because in Houston, we don't own it. We lease it, and it's hard. So I knew I wanted to go find somewhere where we could kind of plant roots and grow the program. And that's where Mobile came in. We couldn't do it without Advance. I mean, he was like, "You're going to do what?" And so he's excited. I mean, they're excited about Mobile this year, and couldn't do it without him, of course. And our team, I mean, we really stretched our team thin last year because running Houston and Mobile, and you get them over here, but man, you just can't do it without everyone around you. It is so important. Our tech guy, Denny Burton, he ran quarter midgets with my dad when they were, 5, 6, 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
So I've known him, and I know there's people that there's things that, of course, you don't know how to do everything. You got to trust people that you have in place to do it like you would want to do it, like you would want it done. And that's, I think, how we were able to pull last year off, is everybody knew what their job was. I knew their understanding of racing, and I knew how they would run things. And that just gives me a peace of mind to go out and do what I have to do to pull the money in and to keep things moving forward. So it's truly a great team that we have. And then new people over here, man, we've met great people. I'm excited about this year. I'm super nervous. I'm super optimistic, but man, I'm so ready to get it going. I am so ready.
Ready to see it happen too. We can't wait.
Yeah, like I said, we even if we can't race, I'm being a single guy, I might ride over there and watch.
Oh yes.
At least get to see some racing, because I'm a big fan of it. The only type of racing I don't like, I have to admit, is what do they call that stuff? Where they slide sideways, drifting. I can't stand drifting. That's it. I love everything else, but I can't stand drifting. But to watch what you're doing over there is awesome, and we're glad we're talking to you, because this is awesome. I mean, I'm learning stuff I didn't know, and we, as a racer, I want to race for a promoter like you.
Well, I hope so. That's what I always hope for, and I'm excited just to be over here. It's such a different dynamic being in Alabama, but it's very different. But it's much the same. It's very, I don't know, I can't explain it. It's the exact same when it comes to the racers, the families, the stories about this racetrack that I hear is just like the stories when I grew up. I mean, I grew up watching my dad and my uncle race, but all the women and children had to sit in the stands. And as the last feature, the last guy wins, we're all running to the gate, because that's when we got to go in the pits. I mean, that's a long time ago, but it's the same feeling, the same stories, the same generations of racers here that I grew up with over at Meyer Speedway is what we had in Houston.
That's cool, because I've been going to Five Flags since I was 9. A friend of my dad's took me and set me in the grandstands, and I watch those cars go around, and I've been addicted ever since. It's probably the worst drug I've ever been on. I've never been on any other drugs but racing, but I tell people it's my version of crack, because I'm addicted.
That's so true. It reminds me of any time like I'd go in the garage with my husband or my son or my dad. They were all working, and you open the garage door, you walk in, and it's all cloudy from the fumes, and you're going, guys, what the heck?
Yeah,
open
right.
the garage door. Don't open that garage door. It's like, have y'all lost your minds?
The paint fumes and the brake clean, and we just wonder all of us got any brain cells left. That's for sure.
The old, what are those burners? The heaters, the
kerosene
tall
heaters, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Kerosene ones.
Sound like a jet engine when you light it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes,
Well, it
definitely.
sounds like you've got a lot of exciting things coming up with Mobile in this season. You did say April 9th was the inaugural 2022 racing season as far as Mobile goes. How does that correlate to the season opener in Houston, or is it gonna? I don't think it would really conflict anything.
Oh no. we don't conflict with Houston at all. Houston will run on the first weekend of the month in the summers, so it works out actually perfect.
All right.
Cool deal.
Well, that's exciting news, and I hope everybody gets a wind of that. And we look forward to getting with the information on the web as far as the schedule, and getting Jim in the seat over there and participating for the season. Gina, has been an absolute blast.
Thank
listening.
you so much.
With all the information that's going on with what you've done with racing in Mobile. I'm really happy that we were able to put this together, and hopefully our fans and our listeners are excited like we are to go over and buy a ticket and sit in the stands and watch everything that you've got going on over there. And thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us.
Well, I appreciate it, guys, very, very much, and I hope to see every one of you guys at the racetrack.
You certainly will, I promise.
We'll be there.
We will be there, we promise. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sounds good, guys. Y'all have a good one.
All right, you too. Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, that was Gina Schild Knowles, promoter of Houston Motorsports Park and Mobile International Speedway, and looks like they've got a lot of good things coming in store for that, and it's almost like a rejuvenation of what Mobile meant to all of us. So back in maybe 10, 15 years ago, when Mobile was such a staple of this area,
right?
Not the Panhandle, but this area. Yeah. So it looks like there might be some glue to put together there.
I think it's got a great future.
Well, listening to what that woman just said, she's a heck of a promoter. I'm very proud to know her now, and I will go over there and race some because I think it's going to be pretty neat.
Yep.
And anyway, how about let's go, Brandon?
Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, Gina Schild Knowles from Mobile International and Houston Motorsports Park. Ted Baber Video Productions, Jim Pokrant, 2021 Sportsman Champion here locally at Five Flag Speedway. Guys, it's always been a pleasure every week to get together and talk to you about short track racing. When we get special guests, it's a little bit more elevated, but thanks, guys, for being a part of it.
We have to live up to their expectations.
Yeah, amen to that. Thank you for listening, everybody, and have a great evening.